Quiet.
Mr. President-elect,
Go ahead.
can you state
She's asking
categorically,
a question. Don't
Mr.
be
President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a
question?
call. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. We are available 24/7 at davejanda.com with extra shows, extra content, extra guests, extra analysis, archives to all of our shows, including the podcast to our Sunday live radio show based out of the People's Republic of Ann Arbor. We encourage you to head to davejanda.com after this video. Why? Because our role, our goal, is to educate you and inform you. The more people who are educated with facts and data and science, the more people who are empowered. And the sooner we end this willful reign of terror implemented by the globalist cult and their puppets on the ground. We have a tremendous amount of free information at davejanda.com. Use it. Network it. Bucket Brigade of Truth. The more people you can network that information to, the better. It's that simple. We talked about the globalist cult puppets. There are many of them. And they have D's and R's after their name. Remember, as I've tried to tell you for, 12 years over 12 and a half years I've been doing the radio show. Just one political party in Washington, the Republicrats. And they're all owned and operated by a criminal syndicate. And that syndicate, whatever you want to call it, the deep state, the New World Order crowd, the shadow government, the globalist syndicate, the globalist cult, the criminal international banking syndicate. It's all the same. Their goal is to strip you of your freedom, your liberty, your future, your life in our constitutional republic. Alexander Solzhenitsyn once said, quote, "In keeping silent about evil, in burying it so deep within us that no sign of it appears on the surface, we are implanting it, and it will rise up 1,000-fold in the future. When we neither punish nor reproach evildoers, we are not simply protecting their trivial old age, we are thereby ripping the foundations of justice from beneath new generations," end quote. Many people outside that window in the People's Republic of Ann Arbor have asked me why I keep doing what I'm doing. I get tremendous grief, tremendous blowback, threats for doing my radio show, for doing these videos, for doing the extra videos that we put up on Rumble, the extra videos we put up free on our website, the in-depth information we provide through our WTF show and Insider Insight show to subscribers. I do it because with the contacts I've developed over 30 years from behind the curtain of freedom fighters, to let people know what's really going on and how best to protect themselves, of how best to get on the road to freedom and avoid that curved road that ends in a brick wall constructed by the globalist cult with the shattering of your freedoms and liberties. I have dedicated my life in medicine, and since my retirement from being a surgeon, to the public's welfare. Whether I'm in an operating room or whether I'm in a clinic, or for the past several years in doing this. It's about trying to make a positive difference on society and calling out those that are puppets of the syndicate and the syndicate itself, of the carnage that they are implementing. Their current resident of the White House in the Oval Office, Biden, has been utilized to advance their environmental and societal carnage. Remember, as I've told you for many years, they love crises. Not just one, but as many as possible. Because the more crises there are, the more chaos there is, and the more fear that's generated. And when people are fearful, they're paralyzed. Good example? How a huge millions, tens of millions, several hundred million in our country were paralyzed because of the information warfare there was and propaganda that was inflicted upon every member of our society. And it made people make some really bad decisions in the short, medium, and long term. What did Rahm Emanuel, Obama's former chief of staff, disgraced mayor of the city of Chicago, once say? Never let a good crisis go to waste. This has been echoed by other globalist cult puppets. I think one of the others was Victoria Nuland recently saying the same thing. Can't let a crisis go to waste. Because out of the crisis, they get more power and more control and more of their ever-loving financial resources that they then used against you and me and every person who values freedom and liberty. They coined a new term at the World Economic Forum this past January in Davos. Polycrisis. And Klaus Schwab, the Bond villain who dresses like a Klingon, is out there saying, the theme of this year's conference is mastering the future. The way they master the future is by environmental and societal carnage of us that they call the useless eaters, the 99.9% of us that are not part of that cult. Let's look at some of the more recent environmental and societal carnage events. Let's start with Nord Stream Gate. Those pipelines that were destroyed, blown up. Oh, spontaneous. Just all at once. Two pipelines, miles apart, but still all happened at the same time in September 26, 2022. I went on record with our subscribers at the end of September 2022 and said, they're blaming Russia. Why would Russia take away one of their huge sources of income, number one, and number two, their primary source of leverage against Western Europe by doing it themselves? You think someone else could have been involved? Some other entity, some other Western entity. Because there were some military exercises, as I outlined to our subscribers, in the summer, in June of 2022. This happens every year, the Baltos military maneuvers, where Western Europe, when Western militaries get together in the Baltic and do drills. And then, on September 25th, there was another military operation. Just underwater staging operations that were just an exercise. Do you think that could have been related to 24, 48 hours later, boom? The bottom line is the destruction of the Nord Stream pipelines were an environmental disaster. Did you hear Al Gore or John Kerry or Joe Biden or Barack Obama or the Bushes or the Clintons? Did you hear them uttering something about an environmental hazard where millions of barrel equivalents, tens of millions of barrel equivalents of methane were being shoved into the water and then into the air? Did you hear any of them? Oh, where was Greenpeace on that? Where was Greta, that little kid, right? Shoots her mouth off about everything. Where was she? Did you hear anything about Klaus Schwab saying anything? Huh? Big environmental? Did you? No, of course you didn't. Why? Because who do you think was involved? Who do you think was like, yeah? Oh, more like SEALs. Oh, this is great. Oh, more environmental destruction, more chaos, more crisis, more power and control for us, the globalist syndicate. Yeah, that's what they were saying. But it wasn't as bad as that was, an environmental disaster, and is still. What about the humanitarian and societal disaster that brought on? Western Europe had diminished gas supplies for heating, for people's homes, for businesses. Businesses were going out of business, for schools, for hospitals. How many people got sick and died and froze to death or got sick from colds and the flu because their homes, their businesses, their schools were not heated? Right. It was a humanitarian disaster as well as an environmental disaster. And then it was also an act of war. It was an act of war. No matter who blew it up, it was an act of war. And got us closer to a thermonuclear event, which Zelensky has been talking about. Let's have a limited thermonuclear event. Yeah, because why is he pushing that? Because Klaus is in his ear. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, you little billionaire. You have no talent. But guess what? You're our puppet. Whore. You're our puppet. Keep getting more of those armaments out of the United States and in here so they can be destroyed, which it kind of sets up. Yeah, keep doing that. Keep bankrupting the United States. Keep bankrupting the West. Keep killing your own people by continuing this. Don't negotiate any kind of peace agreement. Oh, no. Yeah, Nord Stream was an environmental and is an environmental disaster. And it's a humanitarian disaster. Winter's not over. And yeah, it was an act of war. And when a number of us, small number, in September and October 22 told you that there was a significant possibility entities in the West, including the United States, were behind that event, and the Biden administration in particular, the puppet, the sock puppet, currently occupying the Oval Office, we were called conspiracy theorists. It might have been conspiracy, but it was conspiracy reality, because investigative journalist Cy Hirsch, with an unparalleled track record as an investigative journalist, has now come out through his sources and said exactly what some of us were saying months ago. That in fact the West was behind it. They're about environmental and societal carnage. I mentioned Ukraine. So we had Nord Stream Gate, the Ukraine War Gate, the killing fields. The syndicate wants to take this to the last Ukrainian killed, the last U.S. taxpayer dollar wasted, the last armament sent in there just to be destroyed or marketed in the black market of arms dealing. What are they saying? They can't accommodate, they cannot document where greater than 50%, some people say up to 80% of the armaments that have been sent over, they don't know where they are. They can't keep track of them. You have individuals in Africa that are involved in their government saying, boy, we got a weapons problem here, and they're all being black marketed through Ukraine. Wow. We've heard this out of Europe as well. Yeah. Ukraine Wargate, where when any time any kind of negotiation is started, it's ended. When Boris Johnson, globalist sock puppet, went in there and said, can't negotiate. When the former prime minister of Israel said, I was trying to negotiate something, had Putin signed on and the Ukrainian government signed on, and then the United States stepped in and undermined it all. Because the leadership of the West is owned and operated by the syndicate. And then we have our toxic train gate in Ohio, the Chernobyl, it's been called equivalent. Event happens on February 3rd. They don't call in the hazmat experts. They call in the Department of Defense and Ohio Emergency Management and Pennsylvania Emergency Management. And next thing you know, they're digging a pit and offloading all these hazardous chemicals. Now, in college, my two majors were, I double majored in chemistry and economics, specifically analytical chemistry. And even though I'm many years removed from majoring in analytical chemistry, when I heard that, I was putting my hands up saying, no, vinyl chloride, you're going to burn vinyl, you're going to create all kinds of issues with hydrochloric acid and phosgene gas. This is gas my great uncle in World War I was gassed with and ended up with bad respiratory problems for the rest of his life. You're going to create, by burning these vinyl chloride products, you're going to create dioxins. They're going to create a toxic cloud that's going to adversely affect the soil and farming and water systems and people's lives immediately. But I don't know. Then, so this happens on February 3rd. On February 6th, they dig their trenches, they dig their pit, and they light it on fire. And before that, animals were not being reported as dying. People were not reporting having symptoms. And after that burn, animals were dying. Fish were dying by the thousands. Frogs, dogs, cats. People were having headaches, breathing problems. Here we go. The government that came in there and said, we're doing something that's safe and effective, protecting the... Where have you heard that before? Huh? Right. Jabgate. Another one of their societal carnage events. And then the EPA administrator doesn't show up for 13 days. Biden's not there. Kerry's not there. Gore's not there, right? Because they were not Nord Stream. They're not there either. Harris wasn't there, right? Where's Greta? Where's Gore? Where is Harris? Oh, well, she's too busy being the border czar. No, but she's too busy trying to solve the Ukraine. No, another fail. Right. They're nowhere around. And then the Biden administration said, well, this is a result of the fact that the brake systems were not up to speed that they should have been because of the Trump administration stop. Look, if they want to dump on Trump, okay, but they need to do that honestly. I know that's a misnomer when it comes to the cult. Did the Trump administration in 2018 stop a braking system from being implemented? And the answer to that is yeah, they did. And that system was called the ECP rule, the electronically controlled pneumatic brake system. And the reason why the Trump administration, it's my understanding, did not want that put in effect is because when a cost-benefit analysis was done, the data could not be produced that showed this would be a safety step, that it would enhance the safety of anyone or anything or any event from happening. And in fact, it's my understanding that the American, or the Association of American Railroads, said that the data that was being cited to implement that operation, if you will, of those braking systems, was in fact based on tainted data and tainted studies. Sound familiar? But that didn't stop Buttigieg, who hasn't been there to this day, at least as of the recording of this, The same guy who has messed up our airports, the same guy who, it's a joke. Couldn't even fix the pot. I mean, you knew this was going to be the case with this guy. He didn't even fix the potholes when he was a mayor of South Bend, Indiana, for goodness sakes. And then FEMA said, we're not going to lend any support. That's all up to Norfolk Southern. Well, fine. Hold Norfolk Southern accountable. But, look, that doesn't mean you step in. You try to help some people there. Because people were wandering around going, we need help. But then all of a sudden, FEMA did a about face on, Thursday, February 16th. They said, we can't help. Nope. And all of a sudden, on February 17th, they stepped in and goes, okay, we'll help. What happened in that 24 hours? Trump said he was going to Ohio. And next thing you know, FEMA says, oh, we're going to be there too. And it took 13 days for the EPA director to show up, who then is telling people, it's safe to drink the water. Okay, buddy, you drink the water. Bring your kids in and wife, have them drink the water too, huh? This safe and effective thing, right? Because one of the issues at hand was the company that was doing the safety testing of the water had a real cozy relationship with industry, a track record of that. And remember, this happened on the 3rd. The 6th, they did their burn. And the EPA said, oh, you folks, you can go back to your homes on the 8th. And when people went back, they were getting sick and their animals were dying. And the testing they based that on was superficial at best. No. This is about the cults, the globalist cults, environmental and societal carnage. Another interesting thing is I dug up a news clip, TV clip from October of 2022 when they were talking about giving people QR codes and bans just in case, for emergency purposes, so that if people had, their words, not mine, on this news report, trouble breathing, or if they became asphyxiated and became unconscious, well, if they had a quick QR code on their wrist, on a band, well, their medical history could be more easily obtained. I find it odd, quite coincidental. So we had the cult's environmental and societal carnage with Nord Stream Gate, the Ukraine War Gate, Toxic Train Gate. What about other gates? Well, if they can strip you of your energy independence, what they've been doing a beautiful job of, and with their green energy gate, guess what? They send our society back to the Middle Ages. Oh, that was a real fun time. So their green energy gate, their economic implosion gate. Let's just lock the economy down. And then let's feed people bogus economic information. And then let's create a stagflationary environment. Because remember, what did Lenin say? Not John Lennon, but V.I. Lenin. If we grind the middle class between the millstones of taxation and inflation, game, set, match. And then, of course, we have Bordergate with the invasion of our country. And Fentanyl Gate. What did we have last year? 108,000 Americans die from fentanyl overdose. And what's being done by... I'm just saying, come on over. Come on, cartels. Yeah, come on. And then, of course, their gate. Right? Skidmore, from Dr. Mark Skidmore from Michigan State University recently did a survey and concluded that just in the first year, December 2020 through December 2021, 300,000 Americans died because of this. It's been estimated in other peer-reviewed published studies, 13 million people around the world because of this more societal carnage. That's the bad news. Here's the good news. It doesn't have to continue. The carnage can end. How? Not by waiting for some politician to show up or re-show up. Not by waiting for the military to step in. Remember, this was a military operation. Its origins, go look. Yeah, along with our intel agencies and their puppets. The puppets, yeah. Yeah. We can end the carnage. But not by waiting for a politician or the military or a big corporation to step in and do the right thing. No. We end this with you. Speaking, networking information to anyone and everyone you know and creating an even greater awakening. We've come a huge way positive on the awakening over the past couple years. The more people we have educated and empowered, the more people we have awakened. And the more people we have awakened, the sooner we end this reign of terror and carnage by the syndicate. Here's what they don't want you to realize. There are several thousand of them. There are billions of us. And we're at a breaking point. I believe we're actually past the breaking point, which is why we see these carnage events escalating and why we see balloons in the air. Look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's super balloon. Because they want you watching the sky so you're not watching what's happening here at the ground level on terra firma. Right. They love diversions. And they love fear. Oh, does that one have something that's going to drop on you? Oh, fear. Fear paralyzes people. Single greatest thing you can do. Bring this information to anyone and everyone you know. The more people educated, the more people empowered, and the sooner we end this reign of terror and error and carnage by the cult. You can join us 24/7 at davejanda.com with the shows, the videos, the content, the archives. It's all there for you. You can support our platform 30 cents a day, $9 a month. Try it for a month. If you don't like it, get rid of it. But I don't know why. Because if you listen to our subscribers, they will tell you the information we provide on the subscription side has saved people's lives, have saved their families' lives. Because there are things I cannot talk about on this platform or on Rumble. Rumble is not the panacea. People, maybe if your name is, a big radio host and you have a financial stake in it, it is. But not for us. Our content is suppressed there too. Not to the level as here, but it is. And there's only so far I can go on the radio because there are deep state choke point players in the FCC. Which is why the subscription platform exists. It's priceless. Priceless. I hope to become part of our freedom family. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.